Hi guys, my name is Lucia and welcome back to another video in my series Make Up Your Mind, where I talk about makeup related things I have made my mind up about. If you've missed any video in this series, I will link my playlist down below. Today is a video that I have been meaning to make for a really long time, and that is makeup products I would change the packaging of. I've definitely seen some other people do this video, but I certainly have my own list of stuff that I would definitely change. You know when you find a product and you almost love it so much, it's almost perfect, but there's just one thing about the packaging that stops you from just totally embracing it. You're just like, why? Why did you have to make it this certain way so that I can't fully appreciate it? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Some of these products I own myself, and some of them are just things that I have seen that I haven't even tried, but I'm still like, oh honey, no, change that packaging right now. So let's get into it. First is Physicians Formula everything. Maybe not everything, it's a little bit of exaggeration, but any of the face products from Physicians Formula. I have actually not used any of the face products from Physicians Formula, and this is one of the reasons. When the butter bronzer came out, I really wanted to try it, but it's so bulky, and also people would say that after a while the packaging doesn't close anymore, which is super obnoxious because those are expensive. But another thing about Physicians Formula is these new face palettes that they are coming out with. I talked about this in an anti-haul recently. I will link that down below. These face palettes are ridiculous. There is so much cardboard packaging and so little actual product. Physicians Formula products are just so bulky. When you look at the actual pan size of the blushes, bronzers, and highlighters, they're really small. They're just a little bit bigger than the Tarte blushes. They're just like any other standard product. They're a little bit taller than these, but do you see how thin this is? They're not astronomically larger than any normal face product, but the reason that the packaging is so large is because they have that under compartment that comes with a crappy brush that absolutely no one uses unless you're really in a pickle and you don't have any other brush. But if you're someone who's buying a ton of makeup, you definitely have like 300,000 brushes and you don't need this tiny little flimsy thing. I mean, every time I get a product that comes with one of those brushes, I just throw it out. They're useless. I just really think that Physicians Formula needs a brand change altogether. They need to revamp their packaging. I'm not sure if they've ever done that, but it's never happened in the time that I have been watching Physicians Formula and seeing their stuff come out, and I really think that they would be more popular if they did that. Don't get me wrong, they're definitely still popular now, but I certainly would be more inclined to buy their stuff if it just took up less space. Next are the Stila Glitter and Glow Liquid Eyeshadows. They also have one that's not a liquid eyeshadow, but it's more of just a glitter topper. That goes for both of those. I have raved about this a lot on my channel. I got this not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before that. So this is a little over a year old, and in that year, I have cherished this product, I have loved this product, and now I am almost at the end. I have taken the stopper out, and usually when you take the stopper out of a product, you're able to scrape out every last bit. But I don't know if you're going to be able to tell, I have taken the stopper out and there's all this product at the bottom that I can't reach. It doesn't matter that the stopper is gone. You still can't get to, I don't know, maybe the last fourth of this bottle, which is really frustrating because this is $24 and that's a lot of money. Another thing is that this is completely dried out. Now I know that it did last a whole year and that's pretty good, but I just think that something with the packaging and the way you can't reach it is making the last bit of this just dry out and impossible to use. And the thing that I would change is I would make this fatter. So I would make this more like, you know how nail polishes, they'll have a bit of a fatter base and it's less tall? That's how I would change that, because if it was fatter and less tall, you would be able to dig around the sides and there wouldn't be this problem of not reaching this last fourth part, because there wouldn't be that last fourth part. I have revived this, but it keeps drying up on me. I'm gonna try my best to use a tiny bit more of this, but for the most part it's done. I'll probably still repurchase it again at some point, but I will keep in mind that after a year, these are really not going to last that long. And I also will keep in mind that you only are really able to use like 3/4 of this. I have here a bunch of little small palettes, and I want to talk about the fact that none of them have mirrors. All of these palettes would be great for traveling, except none of them have mirrors. This is the Colourpop Good Sport palette, and some of the Colourpop little palettes do have mirrors, but this one just doesn't, and I believe the ones that do have mirrors are $2 more than these. I think this was $16, and the ones that have mirrors are $18. I would so pay $2 more for a mirror, because a mirror means everything to me. A mirror means that you can travel with this palette, but not only can you travel with this palette, you're set for your entire face for a mirror. This is the Bad Habit Aphrodite palette, and what do you know? It has a mirror, and that makes this palette so much better. I already really like the quality of this palette. It's the only Bad Habit palette that I've tried that I have enjoyed. I have a whole Shop Hush review. I will link that down below. You can see I have hit pan on some of these shades. The mirror just takes this to the next level. Anytime that I want to travel, I can take this and I have a mirror for my entire face. I will show you the other palettes I have here that don't have mirrors. These are the Meesha Cosmetics palettes. I don't have the Witchcraft palette anymore. This is the Queen Bee palette. Beautiful palette, no mirror. I actually only use a couple of these shades. Some of them don't work well for me. This is the Meesha Cosmetics The Fawn palette. I have been wearing this a ton because it was in my Shop My Stash, and this I do use most of the shades. But again, this doesn't have a mirror. If this had a mirror, I definitely would be traveling with this, especially now that I'm more into neutrals than I have been in years. It's not like I travel all that much, but if you watch my channel, you will know that later in the year, I'm doing a 6-month Europe trip. I'm backpacking Europe for 2 months, then I'm studying in Paris for a semester, then I'm going back to London for 1 week. I added an extra week to the end of my trip because I was like, I'm not gonna wanna leave, I'll go back to London. Anyway, I can't bring these palettes because they don't have mirrors. I need to have a mirror. I mean, I guess I could buy one there, but it's just very inconvenient to me. And like I said, I know some people really don't care about mirrors, but I do. The last one is the Juvia's Place Deuce palette. This, again, doesn't have a mirror. This would be a lot heavier if it had a mirror. They all would, but especially this because it's a square instead of being like one of these rectangles. It makes these palettes feel less expensive, which they are, but not very expensive palettes, but it does not cost that much to put in a mirror, and it's just so much more convenient. Next, I want to talk about the BH Cosmetics Zodiac palettes, and this might surprise some of you because I have raved about the original Zodiac palette, but I have never expressed the fact that I don't love the packaging. This is the new Love Signs palette, so I will show you what each of them look like. This is the Zodiac palette, and this is the Love Signs palette. I did a review on this palette when it first came out, and it has a comparison between the two Zodiac palettes, so I will link that down below. The one thing that I would change, first I will just say I really do enjoy the spiral layout. I like that all the big shadows are in one place. I like that all the mattes are like this. I don't use these highlights as highlights, I just use them as inner corner shades, so I could do without this big highlight. This could just be an eyeshadow size and I would be fine with that. But the thing that I don't love about these palettes is they're gigantic. They're absolutely gigantic. Now, they actually look a lot bigger on camera than they do in person. I remember when I first got this palette, I expected it to be like the size of a pizza box, and it's not. This is the Meesha palette next to the Zodiac palette. So you can see, it's still very large. I think maybe you could fit like 2 of these. Well, maybe not. Almost 2 of these on here. It just makes it super inconvenient for traveling and also a little bit for using. These do have really sizable mirrors, but I never ever use them because if I were to want to use this mirror, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't know if you can tell from me holding this up how big this palette is and how inconvenient it is to hold it like this, but I've never used these mirrors. It's just not practical. And even when I'm doing my eyeshadow, this takes up like so much of my desk. If I have other stuff around, I have to clear the path. And especially for traveling, I would so travel with this palette if it was more travel friendly. I did take these home for winter break, and while that was a little more convenient because I do take a duffel bag home when I go back to my house, it's still really scary because I'm afraid this is gonna break because it's just so large. It's almost large enough to the point where it feels unnecessary. I feel like they could have squished this a bit more together, gotten it a little bit down more, especially if you make this highlighter smaller or you just take it out. This could have had a different layout. I do like the layout of this. I think it works really well. It's really visually pleasing. Kind of reminds me of the Mi Vida Loca Remix palette, but it's just so big. Now, I've heard a lot of people in my comment section say, you should depot that, you should depot that. I'm not going to depot it. As much as they are big and as much as I can complain in this video, I am very inspired by the color story and the packaging of these palettes. I really, really like the layout of this palette, and I feel like if it was depotted, I might not see so much inspiration because of the color story that this tells. I just wish that they did it. I don't want to have to be the one to make it smaller, but I wish that in the production side of things, they just made it smaller so then I wouldn't have to complain about it. Now I'm going to talk about a couple things that I don't own, but that definitely need a packaging change, and the first one being the Urban Decay Back Talk palette. This was super, super hyped when it came out, and a lot of people were saying that it was good, a lot of people were saying it was mediocre. I heard some mixed reviews. Mainly, every single review said that the packaging was kind of sucky because it has these two sides. One is the eyeshadows, one is the face products, but then it has this weird strip of cardboard with a mirror on it down the middle that is magnetic and can come out, which in theory sounds awesome because if you're traveling, you can pull out this mirror and use it for your whole face, but in actuality, people were just saying that the packaging never really closed because you always had to put the mirror back into place, and it was really annoying to constantly have to put a mirror back into place. It also made the palette really bulky and just kind of weird. If they definitely needed to go down that route of having it open like a book and having one side be eyeshadow and one side be face products, they definitely could have just put a little flap in there. I know they wanted it to be a mirror, but it just doesn't work. They also could have made a palette that was wider. This palette was extremely thin, and in return for it being thin, you had it be bulky with that weird mirror in the middle. They could have had it be a wider palette with the eyeshadows and the face products all in one, and then a mirror on top, and I just think that would have been more well received. And lastly, we have the Tarte Pro Glow Highlight and Contour Palette, but really any palette that has cream and powder products in the same palette. I just picked this one because I think it's the most popular one that I've seen people say that have an issue with that. Cream products can dry out. They really should be in a container that is able to be screwed on or at least has a better closure than just the magnetic closure. But also when you have powder products, especially contour products that are going to be powdery and you're going to have a lot of residue from the brush when you tap your brush into it, all of that powder from the powder products is going right into the cream products. So not only do you have cream products that are probably going to dry out faster than they would if they had sealed containers, now you have cream products that are going to dry out, and they're also going to have a ton of powder. They're going to have this layer of powder over them that is going to make them either dirty if the powder is darker than the cream product, or it's just not going to be the effect that you want. I get it, they wanted to make an all-inclusive, all-in-one palette where it has everything you need all in that one space, but it's just not practical. It doesn't work that way. Cream products don't work that way, and I don't understand why that continues to happen. Alright guys, so that is everything for me. I can definitely do a part 2 of this if you want me to. Just let me know down below. I would love to hear your thoughts on these. What are some other products that you personally would change the packaging of? Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye!